referencing government employee Lynn Patton.
It has to do with your claim of racism. She says that as a daughter of a man born in Birmingham, Alabama.
He goes on to say she would never work for a racist. Later, Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib would address the move.
Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they aren't racist. The fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman, in this chamber, in this committee, is alone racist in itself.
Mr. Chairman,
setting a precedent.
Mr. Chairman, that she's coming in to be a prop. It's racist to suggest that I ask her to come in here for that reason.
Committee Chair Elijah Cummings bringing the temperature down.
That you're one of my best friends, and I could see and feel your pain. And I don't think Ms. Tlaib intended to cause you that.
In a phone call to 7 Action News, Tlaib responding to the racially charged exchange.
I think for me as a person of color, but also not only myself, but Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, as well as Ayanna Pressley, both African-American women, were also very much taken aback by the use of a black woman as prop of showing that this president is not racist.
This administration, and I want to say this expressly to Mary Young and Michael Steele and Al Sharpton, who today called out the president and said, let President Trump put his money where his mouth is. Well, boys and girls, I have a message for you. President Trump has given $16 billion in 2018 alone to Elijah Cummings District in federal grants. We have given more money in homeless funds to Baltimore than the last administration. We have given more money in community development grants than the last administration to Baltimore. My question to you guys is this. What are you actually doing with the money so that it benefits residents in the community for once instead of deep pocket crooked politicians?
And I know we're going to get.
Well, first of all, you know, as a pediatric neurosurgeon, I spent many hours, sometimes operating all night long, trying to give children of Baltimore and other places around the world a second chance at life. And usually we were successful, but a few days later I was in a horrible dilemma because some of those kids had to go back into homes in East Baltimore that were infested with rats and roaches and ticks and mold and lead and violence, and I didn't want to send them back. Sometimes I would even consider, you know, extra tests so they could stay in the hospital an extra day or two. But now, fortunately, God's given me an opportunity to do something about it. And that's one of the reasons I'm delighted to be in this administration. You know, while I was there, I worked on a lot of issues with many politicians, including Elijah Cummings. And I think what President Trump was trying to say is that rather than spending your time talking about, you know, our brave border agents and investigating endlessly things that you can't find anything on, why not spend some time working more for these people, you know, who are suffering, and that he's willing to work with them? I think that's what we should be asking for.
When we hear about stories coming out from you and your agency that everything is pretty good and you're doing a great job, I guess you feel like you're doing a great job, right? Is that what you're saying?
We're doing our level best in a very challenging.
What does that mean? What does that mean when a child is sitting in their own feces, can't take a shower? Come on, man. What's that about? None of us would have our children in that position. They are human beings. It's not the deed that you do to a child, it's the memory.
The president actually responded to Elijah Cummings, and what he said was definitely true. He hasn't done anything for us. For the last, I think he's been in office over 20 years? 30? Okay, so I was like 18 back then, and he hasn't done anything for us. I'm glad that he pointed it out. I'm glad that he put him on blast, because people in West Baltimore have been putting Elijah Cummings on, him on blast for years. Ever since he's been in office, he never did anything for us, like I said. If he's supposed to be from this neighborhood, like I said, supposed to be, the rats just didn't come. These houses just didn't get tore down. They've been like this. If he would take the time out to come over here and see how things are, maybe he'd be better at his job. Thank you.